These are four American bench vise manufacturers that never left the country, and together they carry nearly 500 years of combined manufacturing heritage on American soil. In an era when virtually every hand tool you pick up at the hardware store was cast somewhere in East Asia, where a $30 import is considered normal, these brands kept their foundries hot, their machinists employed, and their tolerances tight, right here in the United States. This is the story of how they did it and why it matters. Start with the one most people know: Wilton. The year is 1941. A Czech immigrant named Hugh W. Vogel sets up shop on the corner of Wilton Avenue and Wrightwood Avenue in Chicago, Illinois. He names the company after the cross street, gets to work designing a 4-inch machinist's vise, unlike anything else on the market, and calls it the 40S. The world will come to know it as the Bullet Vise, named for its distinctive rounded housing. And what made it special wasn't cosmetic. The thread on this vise was completely enclosed, sealed away from metal shavings, coolant, grit, and every other contaminant found in a working shop. A steel key built into the base guided the movable jaw through a precisely broached keyway machined to 2/1000ths of an inch, which eliminated side twist regardless of how much pressure you applied. The clamping mechanism delivered 80,000 pounds per square inch of tensile strength, a figure that meets and exceeds federal specification GGGV 410, the government standard for industrial vices. Vogel filed the patent on August 1st, 1941, and it was granted on March 3rd, 1942. For the next 4 years, every single vise he built went to one customer: the United States government. From 1941 to 1945, the Wilton Bullet Vise was manufactured exclusively for the war effort, bolted to benches in munitions factories and military equipment plants across the country. Then the war ended, and Wilton nearly collapsed. The government dumped its entire surplus of tools and equipment onto the open market at massive discounts. Wilton had no civilian distribution network, had never sold a single vise to a private customer, and now the market was flooded with their own product being sold by the government for pennies on the dollar. It nearly bankrupted them. But Hugh Vogel and his son Alex, who joined the company in 1951, fought their way back. By 1952, with help from Bill Farrick and Hugh's grandson Charles Vogel, they built an industrial distribution network from scratch. By 1960, Wilton was the recognized brand name in the vise market, and by 1965, they were the preferred brand in industrial applications across America. The company moved from its original Chicago location to Schiller Park, Illinois in 1957, then eventually to Carpentersville, Illinois in 2002, about 27 miles south. Through every transition, the Bullet Vise kept rolling off the line. That original 1941 design remains the largest selling industrial vise in the marketplace today, over 80 years later. Collectors love one particular detail. You can date a vintage Wilton's just by looking at where it was cast. Chicago stamped on the casting puts it before 1957. Schiller Park places it between 1957 and 2002, and some of the earliest models carry no manufacturing dates at all. Instead, they are stamped GAR EXP followed by a date, because Wilton originally stamped the expiration of their 5-year guarantee rather than the date of manufacture. One more detail that says everything about this company's culture. Retired Wilton employees still schedule a dinner once a year to get together. And in 2009, Hugh Vogel's son attended, a man who was a major force in the company's success through the 70s and 80s. Wilton gets most of the attention, but they weren't alone. 3 other American-made vice manufacturers built the same kind of legacy, and a few names worth knowing run alongside them. Kurt Manufacturing, based in Minneapolis, became another benchmark for precision machinist vices made in the USA. Reed Manufacturing out of Erie, Pennsylvania, built a parallel legacy in pipe and utility vices. And the Prentice Vice Company left its own mark in the collector world before fading from production. These names form the full constellation of American vice making. But our 4 are the ones who never stopped. Yost Vises traces its roots to 1906, when the GM Yost Manufacturing Company started in Waynesboro, Pennsylvania. By 1907, they'd acquired the Snedeker Vice plant in Yonkers, New York, and the following year they purchased the Snedekers and Stevens Vice patents and built a brand new plant in Meadville, Pennsylvania. By 1910, they were already producing the Yost Universal Woodworkers Vice alongside their Machinists bench and leg vices. For more than 100 years, Yost supplied America's machinists, woodworkers, and hobbyists with made-in-the-USA bench vices. Their own statement puts it plainly. As one of the last remaining manufacturers of bench vices in the USA, they take great pride in their American-made vice line. And here's the detail that stops you cold. Yost still supplies replacement parts for vices purchased during World War II. A tool bought in 1943, and you can still get parts for it today. Yost's legacy now continues as part of Eastwood, another Pennsylvania company. The manufacturing journey carried them from Pennsylvania through Muskegon, Michigan, and finally to Holland, Michigan, spanning over a century of American production. The oldest of the 4 is probably the one you've never heard of. The Milwaukee Tool and Equipment Company was founded in 1877. That's not a typo. They've been operating out of their plant on South 29th Street in Milwaukee, Wisconsin for nearly 150 years. Their story connects directly to another legendary name, Morgan Vice Company, established in Chicago by 1891. Morgan built its reputation on charcoal iron castings, an iron of unusual fineness with a breaking strain roughly 40% greater than ordinary gray iron, and Morgan vices were independently tested and certified to meet Federal Specification GGGV 410. When Morgan Vice was acquired around 1970, Milwaukee Tool and Equipment absorbed production and continues manufacturing Morgan Vices alongside their own line to this day, with all operations performed in their Milwaukee plant under strict supervision and rigid inspection. And finally, Columbian. The Columbian Vice and Manufacturing Company was formally organized in Cleveland, Ohio in 1926, and for decades produced some of the most widely used industrial vices in America. The most collectible pieces generally date from 1926 to 1967, when Warren Tool Corporation purchased the company. Columbian vices carry an interesting reputation among collectors because they used hollow castings rather than solid ones, which sparked debate about quality. But those hollow castings made them lighter, and many argue they were no less strong for practical use. In the late 1990s, Wilton acquired the Warren Tool Group, pulling Columbian back into the fold. Today, Columbian exists as part of the Wilton family under JPW Industries. Now, there's an uncomfortable reality worth naming directly. Not everything these companies sell is still made in America. Wilton's premium machinist and combo pipe vices are still produced domestically, but their tradesman model comes from Taiwan and the Pro Vise from China. Yost has moved some models to Taiwan and China as well. The American-made lines persist, but they exist at a price point that reflects what domestic production actually costs. A 6-inch American-made vise runs a minimum of $1,500, and some go north of $4,000. Compare that to the $30 imports lining the shelves at the big box stores, and the gap tells you exactly what you're paying for. That's not a nostalgia premium. That's the cost of tolerances of 2/1000ths of an inch, 80,000 pounds per square inch tensile strength, and machinists who've spent careers learning how to get it right. It's the cost of charcoal iron castings, broached keyways, and a guarantee that someone will still be making replacement parts decades from now. Wilton launched their new apprentice vise line in 2025, expanding to 6 models in 2026, trying to make American-made quality accessible to a broader range of makers and professionals. Whether that succeeds in a market conditioned to expect $30 imports is still an open question. But what's already proven needs no qualification. A vise designed by a Czech immigrant in a Chicago shop in 1941 is still the best-selling industrial vise in the world. 4 brands that staked everything on American manufacturing through world wars and government surpluses and corporate acquisitions and the wholesale offshoring of an entire industry are still here, still casting, still machining, still building tools meant to outlast the people who buy them. That's not just manufacturing, that's a statement.